Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. A life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name is Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, is Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, boy, what a week. So, it's been a week, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely been a week. Hopefully, it's been a good week for everybody out there. But I guess before we get too far into it, I went first last week, so who wants to go first this week?
I will. I don't have a whole lot this week. I've been, it's funny, last week I mentioned how my anxiety's been running at a higher level recently. And it's really weird that I think I know what some of it was, at least for the part of the week, which is I really think a lot of times my anxiety is the weather change, which makes sense, right? Like the humidity goes up, it's harder to breathe, you feel like you're in a soup basically, and then anxiety runs. But mine also is, I think it's more my sinuses than it is anything, because not all the time, but just this recent wave of it, because our weather's been kind of back and forth again. And as a result, I've been really, really congested. Like, I think I mentioned it last week about how congested I was. And, up until, yesterday, I was still pretty congested. And I'm wondering if I, didn't have maybe, a mild kind of sinusitis type of thing, because I've been prone to those for years, to where I'll get it and then it hurts, or not even really hurts, but you get a headache kind of in the front of your face type of thing, a lot of pressure and all that. My face feels hot, but I'm not running a temperature, and then it goes away usually within a few days to a week, So I'm wondering if I was kind of dealing with that last week, because I've had less pressure recently, and okay, it looks like we lost Tino. Tino, you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
I pushed the wrong button.
Oopsies. Yeah. All right.
I went to go mute my mic so I could cough a little. Go ahead.
Well, mission accomplished.
Speaking of allergies.
Yeah. It was seamless. I know no one will ever know. Except that I brought all the attention to it. But anyway, but my sinuses haven't been as like I haven't felt as much pressure the last few days, and I've noticed that I haven't been as anxious. Nothing else has changed. Like I haven't, again, no medicine change. I haven't gone back to therapy. Nothing really else has changed. So I kind of think that is a factor I need to be really aware of. That maybe I'm going to be more sensitive to my anxiety is going to be more sensitive when the weather is messing me up like that. So
that's a really important acknowledgement, because that can really change things. Because sometimes just knowing what's the cause of the anxiety can make all the difference in the world, because that can even help with the anxiety, because you can at least have something to concrete point to and say, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way. And it helps to logic it out. Yeah. If that makes sense. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's been, fun to deal with. But I've noticed this, like the last few days, I have been so just meh about stuff. I'm kind of just not really feeling life right now, just meh. I use a lot of times, I play video games or whatever to distract me, or I do whatever. I found myself recently just wanting to just basically sit and watch TV more than anything. And, I don't know. It stinks because the way things are right now with my anxiety and my depression, it's really kept me from doing stuff, whether it's going out sometimes or, pursuing a job or going to school or whatever it is I would want to do right now. It's kind of got me in such a holding pattern that, it's feeding itself,
Yeah.
And, it's really tough to not let myself slide too far in that I am trying to move forward, but it doesn't feel like it, It's like planning your next step doesn't feel the same as taking your next step, like that kind of a thing. And, I feel like I've been in a holding pattern for so long that I want to move past this, but I also kind of can't, at the moment. So it's really frustrating. And I think it's kind of gotten to me a little bit, but, like I said, a few days of that and whatever. And I hopefully I'll snap out of it. We're supposed to have really nice weather, I think, coming up here. So that'll certainly help, more sun and warmer weather usually kind of helps with that kind of stuff. So.
When do you go back to your therapist?
Next week, I think. Yeah, I think it's like next Thursday or Friday. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I'm going to be talking to her about this time. Because, I usually try to kind of have a game plan or at least, a general outline of what I want to talk about and, before I go in. So that way I'm not sitting there going, that way I can maximize my time, So, yeah, I don't know. It's been weird. It's been kind of a meh week overall for me. So the best thing I did this week was I made a really, really good beef stew on Monday or Sunday night. Yeah. So my win for the week was really good. Yeah. And,
stew is yummy. That's awesome.
Yeah. I changed my avatar on Twitter to it's me with like a spoonful of the stew about to go into my mouth, so that it's a eating stew moment. Because when I told people online that I was making it, they were like, "Oh, you got to take a picture of it for the inception part of it." So, like, whatever. But
stew eating stew, I love it.
Yeah.
So how about you, Hanno? How was your week?
Oh, I got the flu. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Again? You're always getting sick, sir. That's no good.
This was Sharon Yeah, if you didn't hear the coughing in the background during our last podcast, I kept muting the microphone. I was like, "Jeez!" But she'd gotten the full on, body aches, shivering. It's too freaking hot. It's too cold. I mean, I was like, "That's the flu." Influenza is a respiratory disease.
Yep.
It's all in your chest and it's all in your body.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, yep, you got the flu. And I got the shot at the beginning of the year. So I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And it's funny, like you're talking about, Brian, about how, this kind of stuff affects where you are in your head and your focus and all that. And it's like, what was I sharing about last week? Feeling out of focus, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I woke up Thursday morning, I was like, oh, that's why I've been, because, your body's fighting something off, you're off. You don't know why. And it doesn't matter whether it's allergies or, a bug or whatever it was. And so I was like, I could have gone to work Thursday, but I'm like, no, I am like totally contagious right now.
Yeah.
It's like,
which is what we just talked about. Was that last week or the week before about,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I decided, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to call out today. So I didn't go to work, and sure enough, by Friday, I was just, I could feel it. But it didn't hit me it didn't hit me nearly as hard as it did Sharon.
Well, that's what the shot is supposed to do. The shot is, a lot of people think the shot keeps you from getting the flu. What the shot is actually supposed to do is if you do get the flu, or one of the strains that is in there, it's supposed to just minimize it, Yeah. I heard somebody at my doctor's office talking about that because they were there because they had the flu, and the woman's like, "Well, this is stupid. I paid for the shot," and you just see the look on the nurse's eyes, just like,
Yeah.
you could see her sigh, just through the look she gave, and then it was like, this is what they're, it's like, yeah, they maybe as they're administering the shots, they need to make sure they explain that to people better.
And it's not a strain either.
Also it could be a strain that you weren't vaccinated for. Yeah.
Yeah, they're guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing this a year in advance. They're saying, what are the ones that we see that are coming over from Asia, that might get here?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's no say, you have no idea.
Exactly.
But, I wasn't so a full on flu where you are literally, fever, you're under mounds of covers and you're still shivering, kind of flu, where that is just, that's nasty. I mean, you're incapable of anything,
Right.
Luckily it wasn't that bad. I just knew I was done. And I went to work on Sunday. It wasn't an easy day. It sucked, but I was able to do it. But what was wild was, so I did a lot of sitting on the couch and just, relaxing, watching TV and playing video games.
Yep.
But I got up and started working on another song, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
It's got this great backbeat of. I was going to say it has this great backbeat of your teeth chattering
exactly.
from your shivers.
Because I shared last week about not being able to find this, and it was crazy. I'm like, I sat down and I'm like, well, let's see what I can do. And it was crazy. I finally found, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many loops, sound loops I have on my computer. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And as soon as I played it, it was in something that I really wasn't even, I don't know how I stumbled on it. As soon as I played it, I was like, oh yeah, I used this once before for this song. I totally recognized it. And I was like, I just forgotten.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, there it is, dropped it in and started doing some recording. And then on my way home, what was it? Was it yesterday? I think it was either yesterday or the night before. I'm just driving along and I'm thinking about one of the other songs I want to work on. Boom, started to come up with melodies and lyrics and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm on this total roll right now.
Nice.
With this music, which is great, but it bums me out because I'm not into finishing this album as much as I am to doing this new stuff, and and I'm like going, well, it's just what's exciting me, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's something that it's easy for me to do too. I don't have a problem with it. I sit down and I get creative, but I am feeling kind of guilty about it because, once again, there's other people involved in another project, and it's kind of and we have money set aside to have, to put out CDs and all this stuff. And it kind of made me think to myself, well, and this has been offered to me over and over again, which is drop it. No one has ever told me that we couldn't just drop it.
Right.
And it made me think about that. It's like, well, why don't we just take the money out of our accounts and, everyone, have a little bonus and I'll get to this when I get to this, if I ever get to this.
Yeah. But
for now, let's just call it done.
Yeah, and that is an option. But you're right. If no one has told you otherwise, essentially. Yeah,
No one has ever told me. That's me.
Yeah.
It's all on me.
Yeah. Because I totally get that. Because it's like, I remember I have this really big silverware drawing hanging in the house here that I did in high school. And I spent the better part of 6 months or so working on this thing. And I'd work on it for days. And I mean, there were days where basically all I did was lay another, lay more black in the background. That's all I was doing essentially, so it's kind of mind numbing after a while, so and then after a while, it's like, I'm so sick of looking at this. Like, I don't even want to see this. And it's like, oh, I got this other idea, so I started this other drawing. And I started doing that one, and then I realized that I was spending 4 days out of the week on that one, and I was like, I'm going, man, I got to finish that other one, like I've put all this time into it, I've bought all the supplies, so I get it, and I finally finished it, but I still, when I talked with my teacher at the time, he was like, when it's time to finish that, you'll finish it. And he's like, don't rush it because, you won't be happy at the end if you rush it. He's like, you got to be happy with what you're doing. That's kind of part of doing this stuff. He's like, it's different if you're making it, like trying to get it done for an art show, or if you're trying to get it done because you've been commissioned, to do a piece or something, then sure, you have deadlines, you have people that are waiting. And he's like, but you're the only person who has to be happy with this in the end. Now, yours is a little different, like you said, because you have other people involved, but I get it, where sometimes you work on something for so long and then another idea will come in your head and you get excited and it's like, I want to go do this,
Yeah.
And you just,
and that's
like, for me, it reminds me like when you're a little kid, you're doing something and then you're like, oh, that looks cooler. And your parents are like, finish what you're doing.
And I'll tell you what, that's my personality.
Yeah.
It's been that
Squirrel.
way my whole life.
Yeah.
Ooh, shiny things, like every 6 months, something new, every, whatever. It's part of, I equate a lot of that with my alcoholism too.
Yeah.
Is an inability to establish long-term trends in my life.
Sure.
Right.
Well, it makes sense because that's part of what that feeds that kind of stuff too. Like, I could see it with people with mental health too, because, it's kind of like, well, I'm going to leave a situation before I get hurt, or someone does, someone leave, I'm going to leave before they leave me even, like all these kind of things, and not put the work into long-term commitments.
Yeah. And that's, there's, I have some friends that are always like that, where they're ready to move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. Like, let's move on to the new thing. And I'm talking about musician friends. And I never understood. It's like, well, what's wrong with the old stuff? I like the old stuff. It's fun. Yeah. I enjoy doing it. And I'm still like that. I still always, what I'm doing right now is I'm going back to old stuff, actually. Mm-hmm. I'm finishing things that I started a long time ago and never got finished. It's like, okay, but yes, it's exciting. And that is a part of I definitely consider that a character defect of mine. It goes back to the same things about, being in love with falling in love, and like, oh, life is good when there's something new and exciting on the forefront, life, and that, oh, my life's boring, it's the same stuff every day. And the reality is I want to be excited about where I am regardless. If I'm actually really, I love it when everything's the same every day.
Yeah.
Because it's actually, life is really easy at that point.
It's really funny. That's a great point, isn't it? Like how people do that though. Like they're like, my life it's boring. I get up, I go to work, then this, and it's like, yeah, you do. But I mean, first of all, that's what life is. I mean, almost everybody's life is like that, unless you have ungodly amounts of money to where you can just do whatever the hell you want all the time. But even those people, I bet, do very similar things most days of the week. But as humans, our nature is to get into a routine. Like, people like routine. It's so weird that we buck against it so much when that's really what, as a group, people generally want. Because if our routine gets changed, we get all bent out of shape because something bent our routine a little bit.
But this is the thing: is we're very prejudiced about this. What changes our routine?
Yeah.
If it's
True.
if it's all about perception, and this comes also, I hear this a lot with people. Like, these are the people that impress me like no other. I have a friend, and her granddaughter was supposed to be born this particular week. She goes to Oregon from Idaho, spends the whole week there. Nothing happens. Mm-hmm. Comes back home because she needs to get back to work. And literally when she gets off the plane, boom, her daughter goes into labor.
Of course, yep.
Right? Everything's happened.
Yeah.
So I hear her telling, sharing that, because people are always like, oh, it's a gift from God that I got a new car and blah, blah, blah. But they never say it's a gift from God that I got into a car accident.
Yeah.
And here's Julie saying, no, this was this is a gift for me. This was from my higher power. Mm-hmm. And she used this as an example of, it's like everything is a gift. It's a matter of whether I want to see it that way. What do I want to learn from it? She's like, I was challenged this week to practice patience and understanding and acceptance and all these things. And she turned it into the greatest thing in the world that most people would just losing their mind about.
Yeah.
Like, why do I, bad luck, blah, blah, blah. No, there's just life.
Yeah.
And it's up to me whether I want to get something out of it or not. And that's the good stuff and the bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, sure,
right?
Sure. We're not fooling anybody here. Like we all know, of course, that, there's only so many lessons you want to learn in a week, but
Yeah. But we're naturally selfish about this. So it's like, oh, like you said, oh man, this thing's blown me off my routine and da 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 da. Well, yeah, if the blow off your routine was $1 million, you wouldn't be complaining about it now, would you?
Yeah, you're totally right.
Or if you met the girl of your dreams or the man of your love, whatever, you'll be just happy as can be. And it's a great reminder for me, of these kind of things and where I am as a person. Yeah. And that's what I'm looking at right now is like, well, how honest am I willing to be with myself right now? Mm-hmm. And that's really what it comes down to. One thing we talked about last week, I was sharing like, can I be of better service? Can I do more for others right now? Mm-hmm. Am I doing enough? Should I have that hotline phone right now?
Yeah.
Am I doing enough service to my community? And the same thing goes with, okay, with this is what I'm going through right now. And what can I learn from it? And what can I do about it? How could I take, because to me, these are all moments of intuition.
Yeah.
Something's tickling me in, somewhere deep down inside in the back of my head, whatever it is, that's saying, you know what, pay attention to this. And these are the things that for me is what sobriety has given me. Sobriety has given me this intuition, this awareness of like, hey, listen, because those are all the things that I pushed aside always for my own selfishness and my self-centeredness. Mm-hmm. I could ignore anything that I didn't want to pay attention to out of self-centered fear.
Oh, for sure.
It was easy. I was a pro.
So many people do that. That's where when we've talked on here about perspective and stuff, that's really what it comes down to is you can look at why does this always happen to me instead of going, like you've said in the past, it's like, what am I doing to influence this stuff happening to me? There's just those extra words in front of that flip that whole thing the other way, because so many things that do happen to us in life are there is a catalyst, and a lot of times we've started the chain reaction. We just don't want to put the blame on ourselves or take the responsibility for it. So, it's I don't know. Yeah.
So that was my kind of couple things that hit me this week, and as I was trying to think of like what do I have for a win? I don't know. I think. Oh, that's right. I forgot about one other thing. Finances.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit a serious roadblock this week, like where I was back in a funk heavy, because I've been really putting in this huge effort to get my credit and stuff under control. And, we all have ups and downs with our finances. Sometimes things are a little flush, sometimes things are a little tight. Well,
Sure.
Things got a little tight this week, and they got very tight to the point where I need to get in my, I got my paycheck and I was doing all my bills and blah, blah, blah. And I went and I have to get my passport information in because I can't renew it. It's been too long since I got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I have to get a new one. And so it's going to cost me some money. And I'm literally I was looking at the bottom line going, I don't have enough money to go down and write a check for a passport. And it just bummed me out.
Sure.
It bummed me out so bad. I mean, I'm going to eat. Everything's going to happen just fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a getaway this weekend. But all of a sudden, my getaway this weekend isn't that fun.
Yeah.
It should be.
Right.
And all of a sudden, these things just are like, this is not good. And, and Sharon, going through trying to decide what she wants to do. And it's in a lot of ways, we were just talking about last night, are we feeding this into each other and blah, blah, blah. And it gets back into this, kind of fear and stuff. And I was a little down. I was getting home after work and just disconnecting.
Sure.
And I had just that. It's just to me, it's kind of a natural reaction when something, gets you down a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I love my friends. I love that I can come here and talk about it. I happen to, have a really good friend reach out to me and ask me how things are going because he's been keeping tabs on me. And I told him, I was just honest with him. And he's like, well, I consider it your wedding present. And he took care of my passport.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Oh, it was very nice.
Right.
And, like we've talked about a bunch, I've been, I didn't make a big deal out of it. I just said, and all I'm going to say is thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I just said, thank you. And then what I did is I sat down and I got back to work.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, let's see what we can do here.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm in a little bit of a pickle is because I'm trying to do a good thing. I'm trying to pay this debt down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do I have to make all these payments right now at this amount?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Let's make some adjustments here.
Right.
Let's see what we can work out. I can make a lower payment right now here. I'll catch up later. It's like our good buddy Clint was sharing today about, how going to the doctor's office and getting some not so good news, because he slacked a little bit. But today, but like right now he's doing the right thing. And I said in the kick group, I'm like, hey, that's all that matters.
Yep.
All that matters is what you're doing today. Don't worry about what you did yesterday.
Yep.
And that's what this led me to is like, no, let's see what we can do. Let's get back into action. Because it is so easy when you get a little whap.
Well, and it's great too because you're feeling down, and basically what your friend did was not only financially was that a nice thing, and as a gift that's a great thing, but it's more like the best gift he gave you was lifting the weight off of you. And also now you don't have, like, you can't wallow in, I can't afford this sucks, like he's removed that cloud to where, or they've removed that cloud to where now you looking at that, you can't sit there and go, well, I can't do this because I got to this. And, it stops some of the negative thought going forward to where now you can just kind of go, like you said, you can sit down, assess where you are right now and not worry about the future as much. You can worry about now and getting things straightened out and, let things come again, so you can act as you'd like to instead of having to be cautious or reactive in those situations.
Yeah, and yeah, and there, boy, you nailed it again. Is I was being reactive, and I went back into being active, which is how I'd rather be. I'd like to be active, and it's just a reminder that I still have that part of me that can allow myself to beat myself up and dive into a hole.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how a gift like that or something like that can make such a difference on somebody mentally. So there's just sometimes when people do stuff, they're doing it to be nice, and that's great. They're, what they want to do. It's being generous, and but at the same time, like I said, it's like a lot of people give it going, well, here, now your financial burden's lifted. And it's like, man, you don't even know. It's not just the financial. It's the other stuff is actually maybe the more important stuff, the better gift.
Yeah. And I went downstairs. I found a nice thank you card, that I keep various cards, and I was like, okay, I'm going to mail this and and give it, and I told him, I said, I love you. Yeah. Because I do. This is what a lifetime of friendship is all about. And so my win for the week is going to be not holding that stuff in and being honest. Good. and being open with my friends. The things that we talk about is talk to people, say something. My friends cannot be of service to me if they don't know I'm hurting.
Well, again, we've talked about
say, ouch.
We've talked about the rules change situation. The rules in your life changed a little bit for even if it was a short-term rule change. They changed a little bit. You needed help with that adjustment as far as, just talking it out or whatever, rather than keeping it to yourself. You shared, someone else said, hey, I can help you step through this. And they did. They get to be of service and feel good. You get to have that burden lifted off of you and feel good. Everybody wins.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So, again, that is why at the end of each of the shows, I'm usually, reach out to somebody, make sure, because even if he just talked to you, maybe, that helps. Because sometimes,
that too,
you're just spinning in that circle yourself and you just need somebody to stop you for a minute, So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome.
I'll pass.
That's awesome. Having friends like that and having people in your life that can help you get through things, we appreciate them, but we don't give them the opportunity to show their strengths as much as we should.
Yeah.
It's the whole be of service and let people be of service to you, and
well, we're always so worried about being
to us enough.
Yeah, we're always so worried about being a burden. Well, if I tell you it's dumping this on you or, and it's like, but what you don't understand is it's like, all right, look, if you need help bringing a couch into your house, you can struggle, you can fight, you can beat yourself up trying to get it in, or you could say to someone else, hey, can you help me get this couch in my house? Or, if they see you struggling, if they just go, hey, do you need some help with that? And you saying, yeah, that'd be great. They get to be of service and they, like I said, they get to feel good about it and you get the help that you need. So it's, I think overall it's just this whole idea, this whole idea in life that, no matter who you are, that you're burdening someone else by telling them your problems. Look, there are a lot of people who, when they ask you stuff, they don't want to hear your problems, But at the same time, I'm very much, if someone asks me, I generally am going to tell them because I used to just not, because in my head I just assumed everybody didn't care. But by doing that, I'm robbing them of the ability to be of service to me. And I'm also robbing myself of a potential to maybe help me in my situation, And a great example of that is similar to Heno's. Almost a year to the day, actually, we were going to Chicago. I didn't have enough money to go. I told people, and it was really worrying me. I had a couple of people who were extremely generous to me and helped me be able to afford that trip. And it was an awesome trip. I'm so glad I got to go. And people seeing that and hearing that, they got to feel great because I felt great about the trip, and it just, like I said, it's, if I had just kept it to myself and not bothered, I wouldn't have went and I would have missed out on all that stuff, So exactly. That's why I said it's,
it's a two-way street, and it's so tough. It's easy to give, hard to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is. It's hard to receive. And it's a skill and something that we all need to work on.
Yeah.
Being good receivers. And it's part of it is, I think, before I get going too far, I want to get on our topic for the day.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a little brief overview of my week. Things have been good. Work's been a little bit weird, but it's going good. We're having some communication difficulties and some issues with, I think, not necessarily personalities per se, but viewpoints. We have a variety of viewpoints and a lot of strong, different opinions trying to work through things. And I find myself in trying to really take a long, strong, hard look at myself and really remind myself of the statement, perception is 9/10 of the situation. If you can't change your situation, you have to change your perception.
Yeah.
So, and I've really been trying to hammer that home with myself again, because I've gotten away from it and I really need to stop. And so I've been doing a lot of introspection and a lot of heavy thinking about who I want to be in my work arena. What do I want people to take away from interactions with me? And really, how do I be the strongest me possible?
Yeah.
And if that even means removing myself, going back and taking a look at all of my options. Is this really the best place for me to be? And really going down that checklist, going, okay, is this where I need to be? Right now, yes, it is. I think it, and why? It's a good job. It's good paying. The people are really nice. There's only a small situation that's really, throwing me for a loop. Okay, so let's take a look at that small situation. Let's break it down. What part do I own in this? And what can I do to change the situation, if anything? And if not, if I can't change the situation, can I remove myself from the situation? And, so I've been doing a lot of work around that this week, and I'm still working through it. I don't really have any resolution at this moment, but I'm feeling good about how I'm trying to, instead of taking the sideline and being victimized and saying, oh, well, this just sucks. So, and it's just going to suck and I'm just going to suck. And, going down that road, because it's really easy. And I'll be honest, I started going down that path because it's straight downhill.
It is.
You can just coast, don't even have to touch the pedals and just roll on down that hill and be just perfectly happy and fun going right down that hill, But man, is it hard to put on the brakes and say, no, I need to turn around. I need to work. I can't just slide down this hill. This is not good for me.
Really quick, using your example there is exactly why for people with like depression and such that antidepressants can be very helpful, because that puts a floor. Eventually you can only roll down kind of so far, and then you feel like you can't really go any further, which then allows you to stand back up, So exactly. I just wanted to throw that in. Yeah.
So it's just I've been kind of working with that. On the upside, my husband and I have stumbled upon a new project, which is cool, that we get to do together. So that's always fun when you can find something like that. So we're working on creating jewelry and creating things.
That's cool.
So we'll see where this goes. But so that is a good positive, a big positive, and stuff. And it's a little tough because he's still he still struggles sometimes. My husband still struggles sometimes with understanding some of the demands of being bipolar. He kind of struggles with the fact that, you know, how much sleep I need, how much downtime, alone time, and stuff like that I need.
Yeah.
That, yeah, it is going to be more than a traditional person is going to need. And he kind of struggles with that a bit. And I need to have my warm up and my shut down times. You know, in the morning I need my warm up period, and at night I need my shut down period. Mm-hmm. I can't just keep active and keep going and going and going and going, and then all of a sudden go to bed. Yeah.
Well, the cool down part is something that everybody should have in their
just gonna say that
day anyway.
That's not true, true. Just bipolar. Everyone needs to have that, but yeah. So we're still kind of working through some of that, and it's a learning process, And thankfully, he's very open to understanding and learning. Learning what I need and stuff, and it's tough because he has a lot of whys, which is understandable, and I don't have a lot of answers to those whys, which can be very frustrating.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
For both of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. It's, one of the hardest things to accept from somebody is it's like, why are you feeling down or tired or whatever? And they're like, I don't know. I just am. And it's like, yeah. It's like, why don't you want to do this? I'm like, I just don't. Yeah. Leave me alone. Yeah. I just want to be quiet. I need to be quiet. What do you mean? It's like, I need it. Yeah, exactly. Like, I can't explain anything more than my body is telling me I need to be quiet. I need this time. It's so funny because when I get into kind of that mode, I almost might as well be a caveman. I almost might as well just be like, sleep, like, need food, leave alone. It's like, it's very, a lot of stuff ends up just being 1 or 2 word answers, and because it's the truth. It's just, that's all there is. Sometimes there's full reasons behind it that you can give, but the other problem is with mental health sometimes, as I've talked on here before, you don't know you're in the middle of something until sometimes you're kind of past it. So right in the middle of it, really your answers are, I don't know. I just don't feel, I don't have it.
I can't explain it.
Yeah. But then a week later, you might be like, oh, well, I was going through a depression spiral at that point. And, clearly that's why I wasn't feeling it. So. Yeah.
So it's neat because I'm very, very grateful that I'm surrounded by, some really great people who understand and help me get through stuff.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, the guys were saying earlier, even, it's the more you can open up and be honest and say what's on your mind, say where you're at with things, the more opportunity people have to help you and be of assistance. Mm-hmm. And the better you both feel.
Yeah.
And
because
they
can feel like an active part of your life also, because
exactly
like with mine, the nature of that beast is to just push away and push away and push away. Mm-hmm. So when I do pull someone in, it allows them to feel like they're helping and that they're part of, things with me rather than just having to stand, hey, you have to stand on that side of the fence, so it's
exactly. Yeah. And then I would say my win for the day is my win for the week, I should say, is allowing my schedule to be, I shouldn't say this. How to say this better? I was very flexible this week, emotionally and mentally flexible, and that's hard for me. And so I was, I've had guests over more often than I normally am comfortable with, and I'm just rolling with it. I'm just, I'm like, all right. So there's a friend that's been in need, so we're pretty much adopting a younger man, and not officially or anything like that, but just taking him into our home and, you know, helping him out. And he's spending a lot of time over here hanging out with us and stuff, which is great. And he's a really great young man. And, and I know it's the right thing to do, and it's great and all that wonderful stuff, but it interrupts my normal flow and my normal schedule.
Yep.
So, but I'm okay with that, you know, and that's this week was really a awakening to me. It's like, oh, my schedule is changing, but that's okay. It's a good, I can handle this, and this is a good thing. I can change.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of myself because I have been as flexible as I have been, and I'm reaping the rewards of having a new person in my life that's really awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
Cool.
That's a big win. Yeah.
So that's been my week. And we've kind of touched on a little bit what we're going to talk about this week as our topic a little bit already. And that is, well, in the words of Miss Pat Benatar, I am the warrior, heart to heart, and you'll win if you survive. But yes, shooting at the walls, bang, bang, bang. I am the warrior. But no, I want to talk about being a life warrior, a mental warrior. And just that word warrior, how much power that has behind it. So often we fall victim and we play victim. And that's kind of, even I found myself this week playing the victim. You know, like, this is happening to me. Why, you know, I can't control anything. This is just, I can't do anything about it. I'm stuck in doing this victimization and falling into the role and sitting back and just saying, you know what, this is where I'm going to be. Versus being a life warrior, which changes the dimensions of things. It's no longer is it, warriors don't just sit back and let things happen to them. They take action. They stand up. They fight back. They have a purpose and a reason for being, a reason for waking up, a reason for doing what they need to do to get the job done. I want to be a warrior. Some days, not so much a warrior. But this is not so much. But I want to be a warrior, and I'm going to be a warrior. And every day you have to make the decision to be a warrior. So one of the articles I found that was talking about the 4 principles to becoming a mental warrior. All right. The first one, I lost my article. That's no good. There it is. Okay. Breathe control. Oh, there's that breathing again, folks.
Crazy.
Crazy how these things, the same things keep popping up. It's amazing.
Speaking of really fast, the whole playing the victim thing and the woe is me and life sucks and this keeps distorted thinking worksheet.
I know. I was just going to say, the next thing you know, Brian's going to start talking about some lists. Dogs and cats living together.
Yep. It's 100% true, though, because it is. It's very much in there, making everything, a catastrophe, and this kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, this one, controlling the breath helps to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system to shut off the fight versus flight response. There's something called box breathing. One can control their breathing. They can control their thoughts, their physiology, and ultimately their response to any external circumstances, no matter what it is. So, first step, breathe, and breathe well. Slow, steady, deep breaths calm yourself, calm your heart rate, bring your whole system in alignment, basically. Have 2, positive internal dialogue. Positive, folks. Positive.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to do, but we have to stay positive.
You know what, real quick on the breathing thing, I just heard this the other day, and it was great because it's really funny because it had to do with video games, but it applies to this kind of stuff too. It was the guy was talking about where something happens in a video game and you just get all ragey and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right? Okay. And he was going to the part of it. This is that our we have the sympathetic response system as part of us. It's part of our flight or fight stuff, and that usually if you can just step away from it for a little amount of time, you just give it you give it that minute or whatever it is.
Yep. That
it goes away. But if you just and it's the same thing. Road rage is part of this too. Like if at the moment you got cut off, if you just pulled over on the side of the road and took a minute and closed your eyes,
yep,
and pulled out on the road and you didn't see that car anymore, you wouldn't be as angry, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was the same thing with like the video game, like if you just put the thing down, and just and go walk over and to the refrigerator, open the refrigerator, or pet your dog, whatever it is.
Or if you're one of those people that gets really mad when you're doing artwork, sometimes you got to walk away.
Yeah, sometimes,
we won't name any names.
Yeah. Sometimes a musician of some sort might throw a set of headphones across a room, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But this is where these ideas of breathing and blah 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 they all come down to is because we once again take control. It's an opportunity for us to take control of something, and therefore it kind of resets us because there's a reason we've lost control in that moment. Something happened that took us out of what would normally be control, and by doing something as simple as concentrating on breathing, like Buddhists and various other monks and whoever have all kind of come to this, figured out that we are regaining control. We're taking back control of our systems. We're like, get us out of red alert.
Yep.
And just by a little bit of time, our body will naturally that reaction just drifts off on its own.
What you mentioned actually is perfect sense because as anyone I've mentioned on here before, I don't drive because of anxiety reasons, and I've looked on like YouTube and different things, kind of looking for tips on how to overcome that so that it maybe someday I can drive. And one of the things they mention is if you're already driving and something happens, like you said, you get cut off or whatever, the first thing they recommend is if you can, pull off to the side somewhere, sit, focus on your breathing, get yourself back to your center, and then start again, And or if you just feel anxious in the car, even if it's not someone cutting you off, but just driving makes you anxious, pull off. That way you're not a danger to anyone else, type of a situation. Basically calm yourself back down and recenter and then go back after it. So it makes perfect sense. Like you said, there's all sorts of things, and we've mentioned it a million times on here about how important breathing is. One last thing real quick. You mentioned this is called what? Box breathing? I think I had it referred to me as cube breathing or something like that.
Interesting.
So there's like different names for it, but it's all the same stuff. You can look those up online for how to do it. There's also a bunch of great, like, if you're looking for like meditation apps and stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
I had one recommended to me called Calm, I think it is, that I have on my phone that kind of helps with breathing and stuff. So
there's another one that's called Foursquare breathing.
Ah, there you go.
Foursquare breathing, huh?
Square breathing? Yeah, square breathing, box breathing, or cube breathing.
There you go. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, definitely Google it. And there's even some YouTube videos and stuff.
Yep, that was actually when I talked last week or a couple weeks ago at therapy. That was what she kept bringing up, like go back to that breathing, go back to that, So
yeah,
very important stuff.
Yep.
Back to you, Jen.
It's also important. Something that I've learned is I'm a sharer. I like to share when things bad, especially bad things that go wrong in my life. I share with every single person I come across.
Yeah.
And I've realized that it does not make me feel better.
Nope.
It makes me feel worse. Like sharing once makes me feel better. Sharing a million times makes me relive the same moment over and over and over and over again.
Boy, and there's no better time that we do that than when someone's, broken your heart or wronged you in some way. And it's that it's really that it's self-justified resentment, and we just perpetuate it.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about it over and over and over again.
Yeah. Your road rage situation would be a great example too. Because someone cuts you off and you're just screaming at them in your car, and like you said, you're following or you're behind them, and you just can't let it go because you're looking at that car and you just obsess on it. And that's what happens eventually is you just keep telling people over and over and over again, and it's you're just
reliving a bad moment. So why do you want to relive a bad moment?
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to breathe and move past it, folks.
Yeah.
Have positive internal dialogue. The language you use with our self-talk determines our physical state, which determines our external results. Have a clear vision of the mission you want to accomplish and speak life and positivity into that vision with your internal dialogue. Be intentional. The body will respond to what the mind says.
Now, I have an issue with this.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Because there's just this part of me, and it's just a cynical part of me, where it's like there is no amount of positive, inner dialogue that's going to change, where I'm, it's like that. It's just the feel good sound of that. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because where you ended it is where I have found relief, is that intentional thought. Yeah. And so when we talk about thinking in a positive sense, don't get all like I have to be, basically flying rainbows and, unicorns and happy place and blah, blah, blah. It can be as simple as a mantra of intention that just has to do with a positive idea, like being useful to others for the day.
Yeah. Or it can be something as simple as you are okay.
There you go. That is not like bubbly rainbows. Yeah. It's like you're okay.
You're okay.
It's a very but what I like is the intention behind it. I like that word a lot in this case.
The key for someone like me is that it isn't so much the positive thinking as far as that it's going to improve my mood, but by doing, like you were saying, the intentional thinking or thinking of positive type thoughts, is it keeps me from going the other way.
Exactly.
That's why it's important. Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. I may not be moving forward a lot, but I'm definitely not moving backward. And that is, for me, staying in place is a win over moving backwards. Even if I stay in place with what I'm doing, it's better than backsliding. Yeah. So, and if I can move forward, that's great. But in that moment, I need to just make sure that I have basically something to hang on to so I don't slide down.
Yeah. Like if all I'm thinking in my head is just be nice, just be nice, just be nice.
And we've all had that moment.
Is it needed? Is it relevant? Is it need to be said? And does it need to be said by me?
And does it need to be said
useful,
to be
is it
right
kind?
Yep.
Is it helpful?
Yes. All important things.
Yes. Or like the old one, it's like, I'm just, he's like, you love her, you love her, you love her, like that kind of situation.
All God's special creatures.
We're
all God's special creatures.
Parents have got to have that, like I love him, I love my kids, I love my kids. So yeah.
Right. Well, the next one is powerful imagery. Mark once did a 45-minute plank hold. He made it through by envisioning himself as a steel beam and repeating the mantra, "Easy day, we got this," to himself over and over. He also says that he can help almost anyone do this. It's not a matter of the body, but of the mind. In the pictures we hold in our minds during certain situations of high pressure or stress that cause people to think they can't do it.
The skeptic in me says I want to talk with Mark. Because I don't exercise, so I want to see Mark help me get to a 45-minute plank. Because, I mean, if I could do a 5-minute plank, I would be incredibly impressed, Because I know how hard it is to do a 30-second plank or a minute plank. I know how people slowly progress that time up. You know, it's grueling after a while, but it really is. It's an endurance thing. And I understand that's the point of it. It's like running a marathon. It isn't that your body, there is a point where your body is completely giving out on you, and your head just will not let your body give up. And that's what pushes those people, you know, or pro athletes, you know, they all hit walls, you know, with the lactic acid and everything. Mm-hmm. And the mental strength there allows you to push through that, you know. So I understand. I just obviously, you know, it reminds you of those things like you'll see somewhere to it'll be like, you know, get your bikini body in 3 weeks. And I'm looking going, aha. Like, unless I have surgery of some sort, drastic surgery, this isn't happening.
You know, it's so true because that type of imagery is something that I got into doing some long distance running when I was very, very young. Mm. And that practice at that age has helped me in other endeavors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
since then, because it created a mentality and a way to get through difficult situations,
exactly.
Right? I learned how to, you know, what I needed to imagine, how I needed to focus, what I needed to do to get past those things. And it applies to so many other times in our lives.
Yeah. I don't know if most people realize how many high-level athletes have sports psychologists, and the things that they tend to set them up with are like the imagery thing, you know, like if you're a baseball player, you know, a pitcher is picture yourself hitting the strike zone. Where do you want to put the ball? Like look at the strike zone. Where do you want to put the ball before you throw it? And then picture yourself in your head kind of going through the motions, you know, like, or like I have a book I read about, you know, the psychology of bowling essentially, and it talks over and over again about picturing yourself walking to the line, your arm swing, you know, letting the ball go and your arm swing, and then, you know, just walking through every little step in your head, essentially visualizing success. Because the more you do that, the more it's clearing the mechanism. It's really a way of meditating. You know, a kind of, is that way you don't get caught up by hearing someone else's shoe squeak or somebody, you know, drinking a beer or something or cracking open a can, you know, so you don't have those little distractions that throw you out of your mindset because you're so focused on your visualization and your thinking that you zone in basically. So, you know, and it does, you know, and like I said, with bowling, it's like every shot you're supposed to go through this. Not just if you miss and you need to recenter, but do it every time. That way, again, it becomes like muscle memory, you know? Mm-hmm. And so you can do this with a ton of stuff in life, is picturing yourself being successful. If you have a meeting, picture yourself going in and just crushing the meeting, you know, or what you're going to walk through. You know, people mentally prepare for stuff, but just picture it, go even further than just, okay, I'm going to say this. Just walk it all the way through with picture it being a successful presentation. You know, what do you want to accomplish? Picture that and walk all the way through it. You know, don't stop part way through, because much like in the physics of sports, if you stop a follow through part way through, you take off something from like a revolution on a baseball, or, you know, some of your power in your swing if you don't turn your hips all the way through, you know, so.
And it's not being narcissistic to vision yourself being successful.
Right.
Success is not narcissism, folks.
Even if it is, it's
entitled for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And even if it is, it's positive narcissism, as we've said
yeah,
before.
Exactly.
So, you know,
as we like to call it.
Yeah.
Be successful. There is nothing wrong with being successful, nothing to apologize for, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is okay to be good and to be, you know, to win sometimes. It's okay.
I read an article once about somebody using the positive visualization. Somebody who had really bad, or not really bad, but they had agoraphobia, and they used it to picture themselves walking to their car, basically, or to a car. You know, like it wasn't even something. You know, like I said, to most people that wouldn't seem major. To them, it's huge. But it's even for something like that, is seeing the success of, you know, going through it. I think I talked about it before Chicago. Remember, my therapist talked about like walking through, even seeing the negative stuff, but then going, you're okay. Going back to the positive thinking with it is, and that's exactly what happened when I was in that, was I looked at Heno and I said, this is my worst nightmare and I'm okay. You know, and boom, right there, man, the power that I felt at that moment, you know, like, you know,
I have the power.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not gonna, like, I kind of felt like a tingle go through me at the moment because I was so empowered because I haven't had that feeling normally, you know.
Well, that'll happen when you're standing next to me. Because you know who I am.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Come on.
I definitely was in the company of greatness, but I'm referring to Van Gogh's art.
Yeah, exactly.
I kid.
I shrink.
Yeah.
The last but goody one here is creating micro goals. Train the mind to be present, moment focused. Focus on what's in front of you, not the entire journey ahead. Give your full attention to the present moment.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty good thing because so often we get lost in our future and we get lost in what's going to happen. And, you know, and we get so far down the road that we forget about the present and we forget to focus on what we need to do to get to that down the road.
Yep.
So
we just talked about this actually a couple weeks ago, I think, when Heno and I did the show, because I actually during the show held up this talked about this yellow pad that you can see has a bunch of stuff written on it, Jen and Heno.
Yes.
This is my overall to-do list. You know, this isn't like life goal stuff. This is just stuff I need to get done. And on this Post-it, I have 4 things written down that are, I need to get these done this week. You know? And this little list keeps me from going crazy. Because if I look at that other list, I'm going to go, wow, I have 30 things to do, and I odds are won't start any of them. Because I'll just be too overwhelmed and whatever. So if you take that mentality and just apply it through whatever you're doing, you know, don't worry about 4 o'clock at work when it's noon, you know, unless, you know, it's like just focus on what you're doing, you know, what's in front of you right then. You know, let 4 o'clock worry, you know, wait until 4 o'clock.
I have a great example that was early for me in sobriety was talking about holidays. You know, what are we going to do at holidays? And, you know, to have a friend say, well, when's Christmas? Oh, that's
right.
What, 7 months from now? Well, why don't you worry about that day when that day comes?
Yeah, when it get a little closer at least, you know?
Yeah, and it was just that idea of like, you know, and it's all, and this reminder, and you can go ahead and worry all you want that day if you want, but that's not today, right? And there's a reason why 12-step programs do one day at a time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and sometimes 1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to get you through your day.
That's right.
Without killing yourself or somebody else. You
yeah,
know? And
seriously.
It really, it's, you know, whatever it can, and bite-sized pieces, because when we are going through change or when we are in adversity, when we're in fear, we, you know, for myself, I'll speak for myself only, I future cast. Yep. And I do so many things on that distorted thinking list, like, you know, making mountains out of molehills and, you know, what is it? Catastrophizing.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And that's huge. And that happens because I am so far ahead of myself. And I love these reminders of like, you know, where am I standing right now? Where are my feet at this moment? Because that's all that matters.
Yep.
And maybe, you know, where am I going right now? Okay, I'm going to the kitchen. That's all I'm doing.
Right.
It's simple.
I'm going to worry about making this sandwich.
Yeah.
And then I'll worry about whatever is after that. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously you have to have some, you know, future thought, you know, with what you're doing through the day and stuff, but it's don't obsess on that stuff. Don't like that stuff should be essentially kind of like a hazy guideline, you know? And, you know, you have certain things. That's why I said, you know, like if tomorrow I got up and I was like, okay, I'm going to get some stuff done on this list, you know, it's like I would probably go through this list. And the way I like to do like a to-do list or something is I'd grab 2 things I 100% know I will accomplish. and then like say 2 things that are, iffy. Like I may get done, I may not get done, or something that's a long-term project where it's a continuous work, to where it's like, I just want, like Heno, if he was doing a song, like today I'm going to do this part of it, or, just keep working on it, but not necessarily finish it today. So that way I feel like I accomplished something. I feel like I've made progress towards something down the road, and I can still go, well, I did this other stuff. I didn't have enough chance to get to this today. So I don't feel bad if I don't get all the way through it. So if you're making, whatever it is, try to find a way to make sure you see that success. Again, that helps your positive thinking and in being able to visualize everything else, So I just, that's kind of where, that's gotten me in so much trouble in the past. I know in one of the jobs I had, basically whoever opened had to write down everything that needed to be done for the day. And not like stupid stuff that was an everyday kind of stuff, but it's like, okay, today we're inventorying the classics section of the video store, so you'd write down, inventory classic, like that kind of stuff, mop the bathroom or whatever it has to be that, needs to be done that day. And basically you get done as much as you could off of it. And then the closer comes in and they basically do the same thing. And the list just keeps rolling forward, and there were so many days where I would come in as the opener and I'd see the list from the closers and I'd be like, ugh, like, cause you're by yourself and it's like, I'm never going to be able to get all this done. And I'd spend half an hour to an hour just dreading that list until I learned to break that list down, and be like, okay, here are the things I have to get done during my shift. The rest of it, it's okay if it rolls forward. Like those inventories, those have to be done every day because you do a little bit of the store every day and, you just keep a rotation going through the store. So I have to get that done. I don't have to vacuum the store because the closers will probably have time and there's more of them. So they will have time to get to that. So I can move that to kind of, if I get to it, fine. If not, they'll handle it. Like learning how to move that stuff around, but not worrying about it ahead of time. It made a huge difference in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, what do you guys think? Are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the topic. It's great.
So,
All right, cool. Just making sure.
I have one last thing real quick, which was we talked about this before we recorded, which I'm going to mention again. We've talked on here about power poses, about doing something that makes you feel confident, whether it's looking in a mirror and saying, doing the Stuart Smalley thing, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me, or just, looking in the mirror saying, I'm awesome, whatever it is. Or like I mentioned, flexing or doing, the entrance of, a wrestler or something, a touchdown dance, whatever the heck it is, before you enter a situation to where maybe you're not feeling your most confident, can make a huge difference in how you enter the room. And, the best way to command a crowd, to get your way, to impress people is to walk in confident, not cocky, but confident, so keep that in mind. And if you need, you can look up, power, poses if you need to find something. 'Cause it's, I mean, you can look up like, I'm sure bodybuilding power poses, but I'm meaning more along the lines of there's ones that they mention, like just standing, like you're Superman or something, picturing your cape billowing behind you, that kind of stuff.
Or heads up, tits out. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is. Making sure you're stretching your neck out. Holding your head up rather than just slumping or whatever. Good posture.
Exactly.
So
Shoulders down, shoulders back, stand up straight. All those things will make you better equipped for handling the situation in front of you.
Yep.
Absolutely every time. Promise. All right. With that, folks, if you want to continue the conversation with me, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also reach us at our website at the Crazy Life Podcast at outlook.com or our website at the crazylifepodcast.weebly.com. How about you, Hannah? How can they reach you?
find me on Twitter at Ida Henno, and you can also reach me on Facebook, Henno Heiter, and also be sure to, if you haven't already, come join us on Facebook and join the Crazy Life group.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Party in the room.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about you, Brian?
That Facebook group can be found at facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Crazy Life Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Stunami. My other podcast is at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. Not safe for work, very, very much so. Excuse me. We're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. If you listen to us on iTunes, if you have the time, please leave us a review. Make sure you subscribe. Same with Stitcher or any other podcast app you may use. If there's a share or a like button, please use that because that helps. That can help us get more visibility in their searches. And why do I feel like I'm forgetting one of the links? I always do this. All right, so I'll just go on to the next part. We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals, and the show shouldn't be taken as a replacement for therapy. If you find yourself needing help or think you need help, please seek out a professional. Don't self-diagnose. There's nothing wrong with doing a little research, but let the professionals diagnose you. And also they can help you with a course of action to, with whatever you need. So with that, and then like I said, on our Facebook group, on the notes page, I think it is, or links, I forgot what it's called. There's a bunch of good references there if you need help finding a therapist or like suicide prevention hotline numbers. All those kind of things are on there. If you find yourself thinking about hurting yourself or others, please reach out to someone. Talk to friends, family, or go to a hospital. Tell them you're having a mental health crisis. Call 911. Whatever it is you need to call a suicide prevention hotline number. And again, don't wait until you're at a point that you're about to act. If you catch yourself writing a note or planning how you would do things, these are warning signs. These are red flags that, tell you that you need to talk to somebody. There's lots of people out there to help you. If all you have to do is reach out. And then last, of course, is we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Reach out to your friends. Keep, just see how they're doing. See if they need to talk. Whatever it is, make yourself of service to your friends. Tell them you love them or appreciate them. And, I think that's all.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Go out there, be a warrior this week. Choose your own path. You can do it. Keep breathing, and don't forget to wiggle those toes.